Okay, so I'd just like to start by acknowledging that we're on the territories of the Esquimalt and Songhees nations, and it's my pleasure to have Chris Boucher from the RCMP come to talk to us about the potential for an inadmissible patrons program. The idea behind this is really that Chris will tell you some information, and then you're welcome to ask questions that you have in order for us to be able to get as many questions as possible answered. And I know, Chris, you're going to be drawing too on what's happened in other communities with rollout of this program. So probably what I'll do, because you really don't need to look at my face, is I'll take myself off the camera, but I am definitely here. So if there's anything comes up, or if I see other people joining, then I'll pop back on. So I am here. And Chris, over to you.
Great, thanks so much. So I guess the thrust of this started kind of pre-COVID. And Westshore, with the growth that's happening in the Westshore area and some of the things that come with that, we started looking at some of the successes that other communities were having with respect to certain patrons at restaurants and bars, with the goal of patron and business and public safety. And Kelowna, in the last number of years, spearheaded a program that they called an Inadmissible Patrons program, and it's something that's grown outside of Kelowna to other jurisdictions such as Kamloops and Surrey, and it's something that we would like to offer as a potential service to businesses that are willing to participate or want to engage in this type of partnership. So in essence, an Inadmissible Patrons program is a public safety partnership to discourage and deter violent acts in and around restaurants and nightclubs. The program is developed in consultation with local business, public partnerships, and the RCMP. And the use of the term inadmissible patron is the preferred language. It's not a bar watch. It's not a mandatory program. Really what it is if the businesses would like to use or adopt policy language and display a policy that defines what an inadmissible patron is, it allows the RCMP to act to enforce that policy and limit or eject people that kind of contravene that policy. The specific events in our community that kind of initiated this conversation, or the thought that this is something that might be needed in our community or wanted in the business community, was kind of the growth of the Westshore area, as well as the development of some organized groups in our community. One is the Savages Motorcycle Club. The other two incidents, there was a couple of shooting incidents that happened in April in 2009. One was near a convenience store. So the conversation was, what can we do to promote public safety and safety in these businesses? I'll give you a sense of what how the policy reads. It's worded in a specific way, and it originated in that Camp Kelowna experience. While I was researching this, I spoke with an officer in Kelowna who coordinated their program. In essence, it started a little bit piecemeal there to meet a need that was happening in their downtown area with people causing problems and attracting violence towards in and around those certain businesses. And they developed this partnership with these restaurants and pubs. And their program kind of just naturally grew from there to something that this officer told me became basically the culture in their downtown areas, that most of the businesses want to be engaged in this program, and new businesses popping up will pursue it. Will come and ask, hey, how do we get on board with this? If for whatever reason there's kind of not a proactive kind of arrangement happening there. Earlier this year, I presented to city councils of View Royal, Colwood, and Langford, outlining the program and the RCMP is interested in partnering with businesses who do want to take on such a policy. And the three city councils made motions of support for this program. And we'll just move on over here in my notes. So we'll talk about the objectives. So the objectives are to promote patron safety. So to reduce the threat of collateral violence to restaurant patrons by deterring individuals whose activity or lifestyle pose a risk to public safety from frequenting locations with an inadmissible patrons policy. To promote staff safety, to reduce the amount of interaction between restaurant and bar staff with individuals whose activities, again, and lifestyle pose a risk to public safety, and the associated intimidation, fear, leveraging and harassment such conduct brings. And then more general public safety to deter public violence caused by organized crime groups and their associates by making it known that they are unwelcome in and will be removed from locations with inadmissible patrons policies. The authorization relies on the business itself maintaining an inadmissible patrons policy and displaying and setting out the criteria for that policy. The inadmissible patrons program and its associated signage would authorize the RCMP and partner agencies to act on your establishment's behalf to deny entry and or remove inadmissible patrons. Any powers of arrest or definitions from trespassing, including trespassing itself, would come from the British Columbia Trespass Act. So the enforceable point comes from somebody that doesn't meet the definition of an admissible patron, and if they refuse to leave, then the Trespass Act is a legal authority that back ends the policy or our enforcement ability of the policy. An inadmissible patron would be a person whose lifestyle, association, and activities pose a risk to public safety, either directly or from third parties. The inadmissible patrons policy uses specific wording, individuals known to be associated to or involved in serious or violent criminal activities, to reflect this definition. And an ejection criteria for an inadmissible patron under that policy would capture organized crime and gang members, associates of organized crime gangs, involvement in the drug trade, history of serious and violent criminal activity, and history of firearms offenses. And maybe that'll take me to the policy itself. The inadmissible patrons policy. So it's a notice that for the safety of customers and staff, that it is the policy of this establishment that certain persons who are inadmissible patrons may be denied entry to or removed from the premises by staff and or its members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and their partner police agencies. An inadmissible patron is an individual who is wearing or displaying gang colors or insignia, and or individuals whose lifestyle, association, and activities directly or indirectly pose a risk to public safety. Individuals known or determined to be organized crime and or are gang members, associates of organized crime and or gang members, individuals involved in the drug trade, individuals with a history of serious and or violent criminal activity, and individuals with a history of firearms offenses are inadmissible. Upon request of staff or police, a patron must provide valid identification to assist in confirming that patron's admissibility. Refusal to provide valid identification will result in the denial of service, and that patron will be asked to leave. And I'm reading from the Kelowna example, and it's supported. Then there's a piece at the bottom that says supported by the RCMP in the city of Kelowna. I think a couple of key points that have come up, been brought to me as points of concern. I think the first is this wouldn't, if this policy were to be in place and the police were to take action relative to the policy, we wouldn't be asking the business staff to do anything or have any interaction enforce the policy. So there's a defined kind of procedure where somebody could call in, let the police know what's happening, and then we would have a certain response that is designed to kind of alleviate any pressures that would result on staff or management at the business. So we wouldn't be asking them to do anything. It would be once we received a call or proactively saw a patron that violated the policy, then we would take the action, and the responsibility for enforcing it would fall on the RCMP, and we wouldn't want to put a staff member in a compromising position. So that's the policy in essence. That's kind of the background. The key is that it's a partnership. If businesses do want to display and adhere to this inadmissible patrons policy, then we would obviously join in that partnership and enforce it if it were ever needed to be enforced. But it's certainly something that's not mandatory. It's something that's voluntary, and a way we'd like to support the businesses in the community here, having heard some successes in other communities. A couple of questions I would have for those in the business community, one around signage. There's obviously defined wording. Is there a way that it would best look or best fit so it could be displayed? Part of the agreement, if people wanted to, or businesses wanted to engage in that, is that there's an agreement that the policy be displayed at major points of entry into the business. And so I guess I have a question around that. Kind of what works best as far as what the policy looks like. We could leave that to the business, or we could have something standard across different businesses if people want to engage in this. So that would be my main question, as well as is there any willingness to do it? And if there is, then I think we would deal with that on a one-on-one basis. Businesses that did want to engage in the program, I would provide my contact information. I can give you a little bit more information personally, and go over kind of the arrangement, and we could go from there. So it would be, I think this Zoom call is a great first point for sharing some information, and then businesses that may be interested, we can engage more one-on-one about talking about the agreement and some more specifics to that business. And I guess what something important to say is just with the voluntariness component, if for some reason this policy didn't work for the business, or there's a change of heart or whatever, because it's voluntary, you can step out of this partnership at any time. So that's it in a nutshell. I might put it back to the group if there are any questions or concerns. I don't want to take too much time, because I kind of take the point that we're in lunch rush here, and maybe there's some busy people out there, but that's the program in essence, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and take any feedback.
Okay, just to pipe in, like our downtown Victoria venue has been part of the bar watch system with the Victoria Police for a long time, and it's been wildly successful. So it's great that you're rolling this out in the West Shore, and I think we're definitely on board.
Okay.
I wish there's more people here too.
Sorry, you broke up there a little bit.
Did you hear what I just said?
I didn't get to it, sorry.
I was just saying that our venues in downtown Victoria have been part of the Bar Watch program with the Victoria Police, and it's been successful. So I'm happy that you're rolling this out in the West Shore, and I think we're definitely on board.
Okay, great. There are some differences in the like the Bar Watch program versus this program. One, people won't be asked to, as part of this policy, asked to proactively provide identification or anything else like that. If the business wants to take on other policies in that orientation, that's up to the individual business. So maybe perhaps I could ask Julie to connect us. I can get your maybe some contact information from you, and we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so should I connect Chris with both Brian and Courtney, just to include you all in that contact?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And yes, it's weird times with COVID, right? So I'm sure other people will come on board with this. I think it's just going to be a little bit more piecemeal than we had hoped, because certainly when we started to put this together in the spring before everything hit, there was an interest in it. And I think, Chris, just to your point, not that I will try and speak on behalf of the businesses, but I think providing that you indicate to everybody, this is the standard wording that you need to have, but actually how it looks after that is potentially up to you, then that will give businesses some confidence. Certainly, you could consider if you wanted to, Brian and Courtney, that for example, for you, and again, just Chris, as you're connecting to other businesses, because this will happen, is the WestShore Chamber supports this, the City of Langford supports this, the RCMP supports this. So including potentially logos to indicate that this is a wider thing than an individual business. As this rolls out, then that's something that certainly could be looked at. So again, it's got to fit in with the tone of each individual business, so that it looks the way that you want it to look, and that will be different from one business to the next. But in the first instance, yeah, I will connect you after this call so that you can look at how this best gets rolled out. And then, as I said at the top of the call, we'll be able to put this on YouTube and reach out to other people in the business community so that they have access to this. But also, we're going to keep the information live, because the West Langford is a developing community, and as we develop, we get some of the issues, as we're already seeing, that larger centers have. So it just makes sense to be rolling this program out.
Yeah, and I guess one comment that comes to mind for me is that we don't want to be an obstacle or an hindrance to businesses flourishing. Like we want to support that. We don't want to be a hindrance to business, but a support to that. So we don't want to get in the way of businesses succeeding, making money, and the rest of it. We want to be able to support that and promote community safety at the same time.
No, thank you, Chris. Anything else, Courtney and Brian?
No, I think maybe we can connect later and then talk further details. But for today, I'm quite good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so yes, after we finish the call, I will connect you all via email. And yes, this is the start. You are the pioneers. Thank you very much, and thank you, Chris, for your time as well. And yeah, we'll keep talking.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, take care.
I know.
Great. Thank you very much.